Coming in hot from Arizona, this is Trevor
and Troy Howard.
And you're on So Tell Us Time. You can have everything you want in your business. Sometimes you just need a little help.
Every business owner would love to charge more for their services, but sometimes you can sacrifice long-term loyalty for a short-term profit.
Creating the right rituals is key to your business having success.
Are you tired of competing with your competitors? Guess what? You don't have to compete if you create.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of So Tell Us Time. We've got a great episode for you guys today. We're going to talk about stay cool and take a minute. In a world where it is like instant notifications, instant gratification, instant messaging, everybody feels like they should be able to get a hold of you instantly, immediately, and that you should respond immediately. In fact, they're trying now with AI to make it that it's even faster. It's not even a real flippin' person that's going to be communicating back. I think we're getting a little crazy in the world today, and I'll give a quick example of this. The other day, this whole instant gratification type thing, our youth, I think any of my parents out there are going to relate to this, but my kids are in a room watching a movie and also on their like Nintendo Switch or their phones playing video games at the same time. Oh, as well as FaceTiming their friends. So 3 things going on all at once. And then they were like, I'm bored. And I lost it. I was like, baseboards for everybody. Get out the rags. You're wiping down the baseboards. And I was just like, this is insane. And I thought, what a perfect example of this whole instant gratification. Like, as bad as the world is, like this younger generation, whoo, heaven help me. I hope I'm dead and gone before I have to see all of that. Because these kids, whoo. But don't worry, them kids got up and did the baseboards. My kids work. They definitely work hard. So I am trying to counteract that. But as a business owner, this can be kind of crazy with employees and with clients. Having that instant expectation is what we're going to call it. This instant expectation of you and of the company, your company, can really hurt your business. And there are times that for sure you need to take a beat and respond after you have thought about it, worked through it in your mind, and not just fire back. So, all right, Troy, go ahead, take it over.
Yeah, so like Trevor said, have you ever got that email, text message, or voicemail from a client that just really makes your blood boil? You know, or have you ever had that one of your employees, have they ever done something that just made you want to like fire them right on the spot? Well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. Today, we're going to share some ways to help you pause your instant response and take time to actually figure out the right response. So let's talk about that email, that text message, or that voicemail first. So I want you to imagine the situation. You get an email from a client. They're upset. They're saying this, that, and the other, and you're immediately your blood pressure goes up, and you're ready to respond. You're like, I'm gonna tell them off. I'm gonna tell them this. I'm gonna tell them that. Right? We've all been in that situation. So when that situation arises the next time, because I'll tell you what, a lot of times if we give in and we give that response, it's not going to save that client. It's not going to make the situation any better than what it was, right? So, sometimes we just, like Trevor said, we need to take a minute. So here's what I want you to do. These are some really good tips and tricks when you get those emails or text messages or voicemails, what to do. So let's say it's an email. First, go ahead and write the email that you want to send, but then don't send it.
Yes.
Okay. So do not hit the send button, but go ahead, write it, get that frustration out, get those words out, get the anger out, and put it into the email, but then do not send that email. What you want to do is you want to wait, and preferably wait about 24 hours. Yeah. And then you want to come back, and then you want to reread the email you were going to send. Now, here's the test. Does it still make your blood boil at that point? Are you still upset? Are you thinking, oh, I should have added in this and I should have added in that? If you're thinking that, then you have not cooled down and you may want to wait another 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you may say to yourself, like, well, wait a minute, like 48 hours. Oh my gosh, I can't wait that long to respond. Well, I'll tell you what, responding 48 hours later is probably going to be way better for your business than that instant response, what you wrote the first time, right? So now, why write the first email if you're not going to send it? I've had that question asked before. Well, why am I going to take time to write that email? Because it gives you the ability to vent and get those frustrations out and get it off your chest, right? Because otherwise, if you don't get it off your chest, what are you going to do? You're going to stew on it. You're going to keep thinking it over and over and over and rewording it in your mind. And, you're just not going to be able to let it go. And the point is, you got to be able to let it go, right? Give yourself 24 hours, after, letting it go, and then come back and look at it. So that's why you just write it the first time and then just save it there. Don't send it. Why wait and revise it? Well, because it gives you time to cool down. It also gives you time to find out all the facts around the situation. We've had that happen before where we got a message from a client. We're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they said this, that, or the other, blah, 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 blah. Then we go and find out the facts. We talk to the employees. Hey, where are we at with this employee or, with this client? What's going on? And we're like, oh, you know what? Maybe this client has a point, right? Yeah. So instead of blasting them right off the bat, we're able to go find out the facts. And sometimes the facts prove that they're way wrong, right? But the great thing is when you have the facts, now you can write a letter or an email to them that makes more sense, right? That's less emotion and more factual. It also gives you time to evaluate the true damage that can come from sending that first email you wrote, right? Because a lot of times we get upset, we fire it off, and then afterwards we're like, oh, wow, that's probably going to ruin this relationship, right? I'm probably going to lose this client. And when I lose this client, that's going to come out to X amount of dollars per year, right? And that's going to hurt. So it gives you time to really look at what's going to happen when you take this action. It also gives you time to come up with the best way to approach the situation, right? So maybe an email is not the right response. Maybe you need to pick up the phone and talk to this person, right? So once you've calmed down, take a look at maybe calling the person instead of responding via email. And Trevor's really good at this, reaching out to people. And he's always told our employees, he's like, if you get an email that seems kind of hard, or kind of harsh, pick up the phone. And why do you tell our employees that, Trevor?
Well, first off, often an issue isn't as bad as the person is making it out to be. That is like 90% of the time true. It is never as bad as the client is making it out to be. And a few simple fixes or changes or whatever can fix the problem and make the customer very happy. So by communicating quickly with the customer instead of like going back and forth on email, a lot is lost in translation as well via email. So you pick up the phone, and a lot of times the customer who maybe wrote an email in all caps answers the phone like, oh, hey, how are you? Like they might be telling you you're the biggest piece of poo-poo on the planet in an email. And then you call them and their phone, their voice, and they're happy and they're nice. And they're like, and a lot of times they will even say, I was probably a little harsh in that email, and that way you're having clear communication. So you're getting rid of, there's a whole host of reasons. It's not just one thing. It's like there's multiple reasons why you just go ahead and pick up that phone and call, because it will de-escalate a lot of situations and it will clarify a lot of things as well. And so for that purpose, and it makes it the conversation and the get to the fix or resolution faster. So I would say those are probably the three things mainly.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So now let's talk about employee issues. Okay. So You have that employee that does something that it just makes you explode. And you're like, I'm going to fire them right now on the spot. Pick up your stuff and get out kind of thing.
Yep.
So here's our suggestions for that. What you should probably do in that situation is send the employee home immediately for the day, right? Just get them out of the office or out of the field or wherever it might be. If they're working on a job with a client, get them out of there and get somebody else there to take care of the client. If they did something wrong, right? Remove them from the situation and also remove them from you, meaning that they're not around you for you to go off on, right?
Right.
So this gives you time to cool down, actually evaluate the situation, and determine how firing that employee is actually going to affect your business and your upcoming work, right?
Yeah.
Because it's like, I've seen this happen so many times. They're like, you're fired. And they get rid of an employee, and then they look at the schedule and they're like, oh, shoot. Who's going to do all this work for the next couple of days?
And I'm gonna jump in right here too and say sometimes it's you send yourself home for the day because maybe you need them to keep doing something, right? Maybe it's not maybe it's not something that they need to be removed from the situation. You need to be removed from the situation. And I have done that many times to where I said I need to step out. I need to go because I still need them doing what they're doing.
Yes.
And I'm gonna go cool down.
Exactly. Thank you. I appreciate that. Okay. The next thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you set up a time to meet with the employee to discuss the issue. And you do that right away. So in the case of where you're saying, hey, you know what? You need to go home right now. Don't just send them home. Say, you need to go home right now. And we're going to meet tomorrow at 9 a.m. in my office to discuss this. Right. And that's really important. Or it could be like in Trevor's situation, you go, I am going to leave, but I will be back here tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. and we will meet in my office to discuss this. Right. So this is really important because it lets the employee know that the issue is just not going away, that it's not going to be forgotten, and that tomorrow everything's going to be okay and it's swept under the rug. They know that it's serious and that it is going to be addressed. So that also gives them time to really think about how much they want this job, right? And how much they need this job, and gives them some time to really think about like, okay, I need to be better, right? I'm not going to let this happen again because I don't want to lose my job. And they calm down as well, right? And again, same thing with you, helps you to calm down. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you come prepared to the meeting with notes, meaning that you need to have the facts ready to go.
Yes.
You need to prepare the points that you want to talk about in that meeting, right? You need to address what happened, what should have happened, and then what is going to happen next, right? So, because if you don't have a plan, you don't have a strategy, then you're just inherently going to forget something, or, not discuss something that's important, or your employees aren't going to take it as serious as they probably should, right? So that's why it's really important to be able to address what happened, what should have happened, and then what is going to happen next, right? With them. Anything you want to add to that, Trevor?
Yeah, I just think to add on to exactly what you're saying and solidify it is that having those notes and having those talking topics is so important because it's so easy to get sidetracked into one little narrow, like you say this and then you're like, well, they're like, well, but this and this and this. And all of a sudden you guys are going down a whole nother path, discussing something for a period of time. And it pulls away from the overall, like they want to focus on one thing where it's like, well, it may not just be one thing. It may be this overall, situation. And so it's better to have those talking points so that, as they start to, well, listen, we can discuss that even further later, but it's not just this one thing. It's also X, Y, and Z, which comes into into play as a whole, that this isn't working. This is not. Yeah. So it helps you stay on track. So.
Yep, exactly. One of the things that we implemented in our business was, when it comes to discipline and things with the employees is that, if they do certain things, they get a write-up.
Mm-hmm.
And after so many write-ups, they actually have to have basically like a council with the owners of the company, right? So they have a meeting with the owners. So it's not just one owner, it's all of the owners of the company, so that it's not instantly, it's a scheduled thing so that the owners have time to discuss what's important, what they want to go over. We have different perspectives from the different owners talking about it so that it's actually a productive meeting and not just a meeting driven by emotion.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's really important as well. All right. Anything else you want to add, Trevor, before we hit the homework?
No, I'll just add with the homework. In the homework, what it is that this week, set up what your rules of response are. So responses to different situations, think them through, whether it be clients or employees or whatever else might arise. Pre-think of those things, create your rules, and then the second part kind of goes along with what I want to add, which is having somebody, and what has helped me so much, having someone that you can bounce things off of, a sounding board. So like a lot of times when I want to, fire somebody right away, or I'm mad at a client or whatever, I might go and speak with this person and get all my frustrations out and talk it through. And when I'm talking, and honestly, a lot of times without them even having to put much input in, right, give much back, I work it out to where I'm calm at the end of that conversation, and I already know what it is that I need to do. So not only come up with your rules of response, but then have somebody that knows these rules of response and can be a sounding board for you, that you can speak these things to, and it's not going to have repercussions. It's a safe space to like express these problems, right? Instead of like doing it with the employee or with the client, that's going to then just blow up the situation. And then they can hold you accountable to it, as well as honestly what you'll find, at least for me, is that a lot of times once I have talked it through and gone sometimes off on my emotion, the rational side then can kick in, and I understand that I'm like, okay, well, that's not what this kind of conversation is going to result in this, and that's not what I want. So I need to rein it in. I need to bring it back. So this week, figure out what your responses to certain situations will be, your protocols, what you're going to put in place, and then honestly get somebody that you can sound off with, and be picky and choosy who that is, right? Like maybe it should be a spouse, maybe it shouldn't be a spouse. Maybe they'll fire you up. Whoever it is that you're talking with shouldn't be firing you up and just like, validating you in your anger. If that's the case, then you're talking to the wrong person. They really should probably just be a good sounding board, like listening, and let you think it through. And then if anything, they should be bringing you back to reality, if you're not doing that on your own. So that's it for this week, guys. All right. We know that you all deal with these things. We all have employee problems. We all have client problems. We have business partner problems. We have, all sorts of situations. We have personal problems in our personal lives that then rolls into our business. I mean, these are just the ins and outs of business. And it's just, why you want to say we make the big bucks, but really I feel like everybody gets paid before me, and that's the truth. So it's not always the big bucks, right? But that's what everybody likes to pretend. Yeah. So you guys know, you know what I'm saying, and you feel me. We love you. We appreciate you. We will catch you guys on the next episode of So Tell Us Time.